In the dim flicker of torchlight within a Roman mint, a silversmith pauses, his calloused hands cradling a freshly struck denarius. The coin gleams like captured moonlight, pure silver, 4.5 grams of it, etched with the stern profile of a god emperor, its edges sharp as a legionary's gladius. This tiny disk, born around 211 BC amid the thunder of the Second Punic War, weighs no more than a man's thumb. Yet in its heft lies the pulse of an empire, the pay for a soldier's sword arm, the bribe for a senator's vote, the tax that binds provinces from the misty hills of Britannia to the sun-baked sands of Egypt. Merchants in the Forum weigh sacks of these coins, their scales tipping with the promise of prosperity. Each denarius buys a day's labor, a modius of grain, or a slave's fleeting loyalty. Rome's legions march on them, conquering Gaul, Syria, Hispania. The metal flows like blood through veins of trade routes, from the Rhine's foggy frontiers to the Nile's fertile bends. Emperors stack them in vaulted treasuries, their locked doors echoing with the clink of untold fortunes. Augustus, master of the world, fills his coffers until they overflow, the denarius his unyielding envoy, whispering stability to restless tribes and fractious allies alike. But beneath the gleam, faint cracks form. Wars devour silver faster than minds can yield it. Hannibal's elephants still haunt the ledgers. Carthage's ashes demand tribute. Nero, that golden-tongued tyrant, eyes the mints in the dead of night. Footsteps echo softly as he commands the alloy, a whisper of base copper stirred into the silver melt. The coin emerges lighter in spirit, though its face value holds firm. 93% pure now, but promising the same imperial might. No one dares question the emperor's touch. The markets hum on, sacks heavier with more coins for the same silver's worth. Soldiers pocket their pay, unaware the metal's soul ebbs, torch shadows dancing over ledgers that lie in silence. The debasement spreads like mist over the Tiber. Trajan's Dacian wars drain the vaults. Hadrian builds walls that swallow silver whole. Each emperor, facing empty treasuries, turns to the mint, reducing purity by degrees, minting more denarii from less metal. By the Severan dynasty, the coin is 50% baser, its silver heart halved. Yet prices hold, trust endures, the empire sprawls vast, its markets alive with the clatter of phantom wealth. In shadowed alleys, a baker trades bread for a handful, feeling only the reassuring weight, blind to the hollow core. The denarius, once Rome's unbreakable spine, begins its quiet unraveling, one adulterated batch at a time. As the 3rd century dawns, the denarius drifts like a ghost through Rome's emptying markets. What began as Nero's subtle alloy now festers into frenzy. Emperors like Caracalla and Severus Alexander shave the silver to mere whispers, down to 30%, then 5%. The coin's core a copper husk, plated thin as a traitor's promise. Locked treasury doors creak open to reveal vaults barren as conquered wastelands. Wars rage ceaselessly against Parthians, Germans, usurpers, each clash a maw devouring coin after coin. Mint masters labor through torchlit nights, striking endless denarii from phantom silver, flooding the empire with metal that weighs heavy but buys nothing. The money supply swells like the Tiber in flood, yet real wealth evaporates, markets falling silent under the weight of unbacked promises. Prices ignite in a slow, inexorable blaze. A modius of wheat, once 4 denarii, climbs to 1,000 by Diocletian's reign. Soldiers mutiny in the barracks, their pay sacks brimming but worthless. Gladii drawn not against barbarians but tax collectors. In the forum, merchants haggle with hollow eyes, bartering grain for oil, cloth for tools. The clink of coins gives way to the thud of weighed goods, echoing footsteps fleeing empty stalls. Hyperinflation gnaws the empire's sinews. Provinces hoard what silver remains. Trade fractures into local fiefdoms. Legions unpaid turn to plunder. The crisis of the 3rd century erupts. 50 emperors in half a century, each grasping at the mint like a drowning man at driftwood, debasing further to fund fleeting thrones. Gallienus strikes Antoniniani, bloated successors to the Denarius, 1% silver ghosts that crumble in the fist. Human stories pierce the monetary fog. A legionary in Gaul, veteran of a dozen campaigns, stares at his denarius pile, once enough for a villa, now barely a loaf. He deserts, joining brigands in misty forests, his sword bought by the coin that betrayed him. In Rome's Subura slums, a widow clutches her late husband's savings, watching them dissolve into fuel for the baker's oven. She turns to beggary, her footsteps echoing past crumbling aqueducts. Emperors decree price edicts, Diocletian's futile scroll capping loaves at stale values, but black markets thrive in shadowed vaults where true silver trades at premiums no edict can touch. The denarius, that once mighty arbiter, becomes a jest among money changers, its imperial profile mocked on tavern walls. Taxes, levied in hordes of the debased coin, yield less and less. Provinces rebel, bartering with their own base metals, the empire's fiscal spine snapping under inflation's relentless grind. By century's end, the coin is a relic, replaced by the aureus's gold flicker and crude folies, yet the damage lingers like smoke from a pyre. Silent markets stretch from Hispania to Syria, trade routes patrolled by ghosts of commerce. The weight of adulterated wealth has hollowed Rome. Legions fracture, borders bleed, the central heart starved of trust. One small coin, stretched too thin across an overreaching realm, has quietly choked the life from the world's greatest power. As the last debased denarii scatter like fallen leaves across the forum's cracked stones, Rome's eternal city falls eerily quiet. The empire fractures, not with a thunderous clash of swords, but the faint, insidious rustle of worthless coin. What began as a silversmith's careful strike ends in echoing vaults stripped bare, where emperors' portraits gaze blankly from copper ghosts. The denarius, that unassuming disk which once bound a world, reveals its final lesson. No realm endures when its money loses truth. From the rubbled treasuries rises a timeless whisper, bridging the Tiber's ancient flow to the currents of our own lives. History's ledgers, etched in silver and shadow, offer not despair, but quiet shields for the vigilant. Today, the echo of Rome's unraveling calls us to anchor our own fortunes in enduring substance. Build reserves not in fleeting paper promises, but in sound assets, gold, silver, land, that hold weight through storms of inflation. Diversify holdings like a prudent merchant spreading grain across provinces, stocks, real estate, skills that no debasement can erode. Recognize the early murmurs of monetary drift, rising prices masked by printed plenty, debts swelling unseen, and act before the flood. Avoid over-leverage, that emperor's trap of borrowing tomorrow's silver to fund today's wars. Live within the true measure of your vaults, stacking modestly but surely. These steps, simple as weighing a coin by torchlight, fortify personal empires against the silent thief. In an age of digital ledgers and boundless credit, the Denarius reminds, trust only what you can hold, what endures the melt. This calm reflection reveals a deeper pattern. Every great power, from Rome's marbled halls to distant horizons yet unchronicled, carries the seeds of its own bankruptcy within its treasuries. Empires rise on solid coin, but falter when leaders dilute the metal for fleeting glory, leaving markets silent and footsteps fleeing empty stalls. The weight of unbacked wealth crushes not just thrones, but the hearths of ordinary souls, the legionary's desertion, the widow's hollow savings. History whispers the same warning across generations, a gentle echo in crumbling stone. Heed the coin's purity, or watch your world hollow from within. Perhaps the next tale lingers in the opulent vaults of a realm chasing phantom riches across uncharted sands. Thank you for walking these shadowed paths with Bankrupt History. Subscribe for the next quiet unraveling and guard your own silver well.